Alright, we're gonna change Jaden's diabetes stuff. Got our supplies here, prep wipes, and this is called the infusion set. His pump, and the pump supplies we'll need to put the insulin in. So we're gonna do this part first. We'll explain why in a little bit. So we get the prep wipe out. Alcohol will take a little time to dry. So what we found is if we do this first, I'm gonna go a little bit that way. That'll give it time to dry while we prepare this stuff. All right, there's a little red there. We start with that and take the plastic wrapper off. Then we've got this paper underneath. And then we open this side here. All right, you gotta unwind all the tubing. There's a little latch there. It should unwind it gently. It'll be coming out right there. There's a notch on each side, but we want that notch there. And this removes so it'll stick to his skin. And then every once in a while we forget, you definitely don't want to forget, there's a little needle guard that comes off the needle there. Now the needle's exposed. I'm gonna pull this back, it's spring loaded, and it catches there. There's a little indentation on either side where you put your fingers, that's where you're going to press, and it's going to, I'll do it slow here, it's going to shoot up in him. So you do need to make sure when you're trying to pull it down, you don't have your fingers on those little buttons. All right, I've got it. Over at the top, the tubing goes up towards him.
There's an arrow.
There's a little arrow, yeah, right there. Goes up towards him. Make sure that's secure. Get the situation, and then he usually counts down from 3.
1, 2.
Counts up anyway. Then he can usually do this part. He kind of pushes in, makes sure the tape secures, pulls it out. That needle is still exposed, so that's why they give us this cap. And now it's good to throw away. He then he unhooks this. This gives us the tubing that we need to do the other part, so that's why we did this part first. All right, now we're going to, this was just a reminder saying that it's out. We're going to tackle this part now. These are the supplies you need. So we're gonna start with the syringe. Comes in 2 parts. You're gonna put it together. Twists on super simply. It's now on, needle guard's on. This is the cartridge where the insulin is going to go. First, we have to prepare the cartridge by creating a vacuum. So we have your needle here, it goes in a little white spongy area. Goes in there, sometimes it sinks all the way in, sometimes it doesn't, either way it's fine. And then we pull the plunger back, creates a vacuum in there so the insulin goes in better. And then we have our insulin here. Again, a nice spongy area for the needle to go in. And then we'll slowly draw. There's a stopper at the top that should slowly come down as we take the insulin out. Just kind of adjust your pressure to make sure you're kind of doing it with the stopper. I'm assuming if you went too fast, it would only go as quick as you could, and the arrow will just expand and eventually fill up. As it gets to the line, that should be good. We got to get the air out. There's a little air trapped up here, so I'm just push the plunger up until I get a nice steady stream, which I did, and now I'm ready to go in the white space again. We're in. I'm going to push the plunger down and fill it up. We're now done with the syringe, and close it up, throw it away. This stuff here is all now trash. Now we're gonna take our focus on the pump itself. It's currently has an empty cartridge, so it needs it, but either way, you go to options, you go to load, so we can see that, and we're going to go to change cartridge. Normally these other 2 wouldn't be grayed out if you had a couple units left, but that's fine. Go to change cartridge. Disconnect infusion set from your body. Press next. He's already disconnected. Next, preparing for cartridge. Remove cartridge and install. So let's do the remove part. So there's a little cap here. Comes off, slides down. This comes down. And then they've made a nice little notch here to take this cartridge out. A coin works really well, but if you don't have a coin, I found that the case works just fine. You slide it in there and then twist, and it pops it up. Takes a little bit of pressure, but not too much. and that is ready to be thrown away. So instructions, remove cartridge, we just did that, and install a filled cartridge. Press the unlock button when completed. So we have our filled cartridge, put that in, it should slide in, and click, flush all around, okay, hit the unlock button, press next to continue. So now it's detecting cartridge. Usually this is the point where I put the case back on while this is going, and I also start with the tubing, but I'll wait for instructions on that for this. 40%, it's been a really long time since it's had trouble connecting with the cartridge, so this almost always goes just fine. 100%, cartridge changed. Make sure the set is disconnected from your body because it's going to be pumping air for a while. Connect the tubing to your cartridge. This should lock into place or slide into place pretty easy. You just twist, it goes pretty well. And we're going to stretch our tubing out. We're going to hit next. Oh, show you this. It's going to say fill tubing. We're going to hit start, and it's going to start to fill the tubing. What I generally like to do is I like to hold it up to a light and find it. You usually can't start to see it until partway up the tubing, until somewhere around 7 or 8. Usually it's almost always full by the time it's 10, so I'd like to keep it up. The reason you keep it up is this little section here actually gathers all the air. If there's any air in there, it'll gather there and then push all the air out. If you don't have that, it gets a lot of bubbles in the tubing, which then doesn't give him accurate insulin. So we're only at 5.8 right now. Almost always it's pretty done full at 12, so if you can't see it, if you're in bad lighting, whatever, you're really watching for this, for when this starts squirting out insulin. And that usually happens somewhere around 11 or 12. Alright, we're at 8. Let's see if I can find it. I did find it, and there is some air bubbles, so I'm actually going to wait. One of them's large enough, I'm going to wait until that air bubble passes. So you probably can't see it on this, but right here, there's an air bubble where the top of the insulin's a little bit above that. And so I'm actually going to wait for, it already squirted some insulin, but I'm going to wait until these air bubbles are out. Then I'm going to hit stop, and we're at 13.1. Stopping fill. Aiden, we need you back, buddy. Okay. Alright, we're almost done. He now has a new sight and apparently new clothes. This has insulin. We're going to hit done, so we don't need to fill anymore. Okay, but before we're done with this process, we're going to do what's called fill cannula. There's a little piece of tubing inside this that went into his body that is actually just full of air right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to plug this in, which clips in nice and easy. We're going to hit fill cannula. That's that little piece of tubing. We'll hit next. Doesn't fill with much, just fills with 0.3. We'll hit start, and so it's just going to push a little bit of insulin in there to make sure it's not a danger thing of him pushing air. It just, the pump would think it's pushing insulin when it's not, so we want to make sure that's accurate. That's simple enough. We hit done. It'll say, hey, you really should test in 1 or 2 hours to make sure all this is working. We hit resume. It'll say resume insulin, and we are all set.
Awesome. One other thing is to remind him to take his old site off.
Can you show us doing that? Every once in a while that'll bleed a little bit, and sometimes you gotta hold a tissue on there or whatever, but most of the time it's fine.
Thanks.